Morning. How we doing? It's Kenny. It's Monday, July 16th, 17th. I don't know. But I know it's Monday. I got my pick-me-up right here rolling around. And, I just want to take a couple minutes and I want to kind of go into a little bit more detail about the annuity deal that I closed. So, if you guys saw the the post that Drew had threw out there, it was, I worked this guy for a minute. Well, a minute really, truly doesn't begin to even explain what I went through to get this deal. So I'm going to kind of start from the beginning, and there's a point to this story. If you go into your opt-in, it will show you all the leads, obviously, that you've bought, and then it will also tell you the day in which you received that lead, right? AKA the day you purchased it. So I went back, I'd done some digging, and I bought this lead last Christmas. So this should tell you two things about trying to be successful in this industry. One, think about that, guys. I'm buying leads on Christmas Day. So after I'm done doing everything with the family, after I'm done hanging out, after I'm done with my second, third, and fourth plate, after I've watched my football, after I've watched my basketball, I'm back to the grind. I'm buying leads on Christmas. And the second thing is that here we are in July, and we're talking about a lead that I bought in December. Okay, you got to be willing to work for it. Consistent action equals success. So I got this lead on Christmas Day. A couple days after that, or whatever, maybe after New Year's, I want to say. I spoke with the guy, and he was a really just weird turn guy, just a duck, really. I feel like I got sneeze. Excuse me. So, but the guy's just real weird, and I knew that right out of the gate. And I called the guy, and the guy's like, I need you to email me the information. I don't want to meet. He was real odd. And, he's like, I got 4 dogs, and they'll tear you up, and they won't let us talk, and they bark and yap. And, of course, I'm like, not a big deal. I've got 2 myself. I completely get it. I'm a dog guy, blah, 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 blah. Didn't get anywhere with the guy. I said, it would make my job a lot simpler, too, to just mail you this information, but that's not how the insurance industry works. We've got to determine wants, we've got to determine needs, we've got to determine budget, what you qualify for, what you don't qualify for. I work with 20 plus companies, blah, 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 blah. Could not get anywhere with this guy. Nowhere. So I let it go. Straight up let it go. And I touched base with him about 2 months later. And I told him who I was. And he went the same route. Hey, I need you to email me. Well, listen, that's not how this works, blah, blah, right? He said, I spoke to somebody 2 or 3 months ago or 4 months ago or whatever, and they kind of told me the same thing, and that basically until I spoke with somebody that I was going to be getting these calls. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's pretty much how this works. I was like, until you sit down with one of us, we can't clear you out of the system, whether you're interested, whether you have a need. The calls will keep coming, because they'll just bounce from agency to agency to agency. Well, okay, so ended up I got an appointment with the guy, and we actually met at a restaurant in the middle of public, in a public restaurant. And I'm just like, it's really like the first time that I'd ever met a client in public to discuss anything obviously personal. Like, tell me about your health, and your financial future and all this stuff. But we met and we sat there forever because this guy liked to talk. And he puts me to shame. And Drew will tell you, I like to talk. Dave will tell you, I like to talk. But this guy wore me out just listening to him talk. And on top of that, his voice is like nails on a chalkboard. It's like, golly, just shut the hell up. So, anyway, so we go through it, and I ended up, I wrote him like a small, I want to say it was like a $15,000, $20,000 policy. I can't remember. But I wrote him like a $15,000, $20,000 policy. We talked a little bit about his retirement stuff. Just kind of touched on it. Didn't really get into it. And so I got an app, and I got out of there, and we discussed about doing a Band-Aid because he's got some heart issues, and here next December in 2019, it'll be 10 years on that, and so obviously he's going to get a much better rate. So anyway, write the app. I get out of there. It comes back a week later or whatever on GPM. And they graded the app. They didn't do level. Well, so that bumped his premium up like $17 a month, $20 a month, whatever. And he wasn't having it. Was very nice about it. Was very respectful about it. But he wasn't having it, and so he withdrew his app. But I stayed on him about the annuity because he told, the dude's from Detroit, and his money was still in Detroit, and he's an old school guy. He doesn't like doing video calls, and he never gets to Michigan. So his money is 400 miles away. He never sees the guy that's controlling his money. He never talks to the guy that he's paying to manage his account and manage his money. And so he kept saying that he wanted somebody that was local, that could provide a more personal touch, that knew what they were doing. Well, hey, I know a guy, right? I may know somebody to help you out. And so the guy's not tech savvy at all. And the reason why the guy's old school is because the guy doesn't understand technology. The guy doesn't understand YouTube videos, and he doesn't understand Facebook Live, and he doesn't understand Skype or FaceTime. He doesn't understand that stuff. He wants to be able to look at you across the table and talk about it. So, I stayed on him. And, and I can't tell you how many times I said, hey, I can't tell you how many times I said, hey, I need your statement. And how many times it took me saying, hey, I need this, I need this, I need this, before I finally could get it. How many phone calls I made, how many voicemails I left, how many text messages that I sent, whatever. And so, at the end of the day, I've made numerous attempts to contact the guy. At this point, his daughter just lives... Oh, crap. Sorry about that. At this point, his daughter just lives a few doors down from him, and we actually met at his daughter's house last week. We talked about a lot of things. I actually used the daughter to close the deal, and because in the end, when Dad's not around, she's the one that's going to get the money, right? So, kind of used her as a pawn. Got her on my side selling it with me. And I don't know about you all, but my daughters, wrapped around my finger. Anything they want, they'll probably get it. And so I use that to my advantage. But I stayed on him and on him and on him and on him. And so what you've got to take away from that is, I made $7,000 or whatever it was on that deal. And, and I'm going back today because guess what? His wife's got one. Who knew? And I'm going to go back and I'm going to write another annuity on the wife. Now, it's not going to be a $7,000 one. I'm going to make a couple grand. But that's $9,000. But here's what you've got to understand about this. This is by the time it's all said and done, guys, I will have made $8 or $9,000 on a $6 C lead. Or a $6 B lead. Now, it took me 7-8 months to get to this point. But the point is that you can't just call them a few times and then quit. if you call them and call them and call them and call them and they're not answering, okay, cool. And if you drive by their house and they're not there, okay, cool. But guess what? The next time you're in the area, drop by again. Eventually, if you do this enough, you will catch them home to have a conversation. Okay? That's going to happen. So understand that if I would have done what a lot of you all are probably doing, which is calling a couple times, calling 3 times, 4 times, whatever, and not getting a return call or not getting somebody on the phone, you just chalk it up to it being a dead lead and it goes in the trash can. That's not how this works. When you get that information, you either get the appointment and they tell you, and you determine through analysis and through qualifying that this isn't something that they can afford, or this isn't something they need, or whatever it is, or they tell you to go pound dirt, right? Go pound sand. But you need to let them tell you that instead of you making that decision for them. That's why I'm able to sit here and do a video about making $8,000 or $9,000 on a $6 lead, is because I didn't quit and I didn't make that assumption for my client. The other beautiful thing, their daughter, whose house we run this appointment in, is my age, and she's already in my side because I helped Dad, she helped me with Dad. And she's also got some money in a retirement that she would like me to look at that is accessible, that she can move, that's not tied up in an employer. Now, I don't know what she's got, but I know that's a free lead. So those are the things that you need to be kind of looking at when you get into this stuff. Guys, it's not just about writing a life insurance policy, meaning, if that's all that's there, that's all that's there. But you need to be digging for all this other stuff. So if you need some forms that will kind of help you walk through it, kind of like the client questionnaire that I've talked to you about, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to send that stuff over. But this pre-workout's kicking in, and I got to get it in. So